In this section, we'll discuss how to decide which path to take. A few key terms to watch out for. SST stands for Student Success Team. It reviews the student's learning needs, recommends strategies, and decides next steps. The team usually includes parents and teachers, might also include specialists or others that have knowledge of your child. COST stands for Coordination of Services Team. It discusses the strengths and needs of students needing support, manages and combines supports and resources, and the team usually includes school staff, administrators, and school-based providers. A 504 plan refers to accommodations for students with disabilities to make sure they have access to learning and to prevent discrimination related to their disability. General education refers to standards-based or mainstream instruction for all students. And special education refers to supports and services to ensure students with disabilities benefit from school. A few tips for getting started. Always start by talking about your concerns. Talking is the first step to get on the same page with the teacher. The teacher may already be aware and working on the concerns, or they may not know about the concerns. And remember, you can ask for an interpreter if necessary. You do have options. Ask how to get your child more help. For example, an SST or Student Success Team and COST or Coordination of Services Team are both options that are available to you. You can request in writing a 504 evaluation if you think your child may have a disability and needs accommodations at school. You can also request in writing a special education assessment if you think your child may have a disability and needs special instruction. A few tips for getting started with the SST. Your child's general education program may be adjusted by the SST. The SST discusses your child's learning needs, writes strategies, and checks progress. Ask questions about how progress will be monitored and when it will be reviewed. If the adjustments don't work, then the SST meets again to problem solve. If it appears that your child may have a disability, the SST can refer your child for special education assessment. You don't have to have an SST though. You can also decide to request an evaluation for a 504 or special education during the SST process. Remember, schools are required to find, evaluate, and identify any child that may have a disability. The law is called Child Find Law. This includes children attending private schools as well. If anyone thinks your child may have a disability, a special education assessment is recommended. The assessments help decide if your child's eligible to receive extra learning supports and special rights under IDEA, or Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Students with disabilities may qualify for a 504 plan or special education. Both a 504 plan and special education are federal laws, and both a 504 plan and special education require written plans and assessment, but they do have different purposes. On deciding which assessment option to choose, remember that assessments are provided to families for free. You may choose to have your child assessed by writing a request for evaluation or consenting to a referral made by someone else. To decide which assessment option may be the best starting point for your child, it's very important to understand the 504 plan and an IEP. The 504 plan refers to Section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act. It's a federal civil rights law to prevent discrimination against people with disabilities of any age. The individual education program, or the IEP, is under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. It's also a federal special education law. It serves children ages 3 to 21, and there's also a special plan for infants and toddlers from birth to 2 years old. 504 plan covers any disability related to basic life activities, disabilities that affect learning in the general education classroom, and the IEP protects and serves children that have one or more of the 13 disabilities listed in the law that affect learning in the general education classroom and require special instruction to make reasonable progress in school. The 504 plan includes some legal safeguards for the child and the parent. And the IEP includes many safeguards for both the child and the parent. The 504 plan has district-defined assessment standards, and Office of Civil Rights uses the state timelines, which is 60 days in California. IEP is a legally defined assessment standard. It follows legally defined assessment standards and the 60-day timelines in California. Under the 504 plan, decisions are made by a team of people familiar with the child who understand the evaluation data and the service options. For example, the parent, the general education teacher, special education teacher, and the principal. Under the IEP, the decisions are made by a specific team that includes parents, general education teacher, special education teacher, school staff, or other specialists who can interpret the evaluation results, and a district representative with authority over special education services. 504 plan includes a documented plan that has no legally required components. Typically, it lists accommodations to help a child access the general education program. But the IEP includes a documented plan that has many legally required components to ensure the child benefits from school. Choose the best path based on your child's individual needs after reviewing all the possible options. The assessment process, once you request a special education assessment, the assessment process includes first the referral stage, when you write a letter to the school asking for an assessment. Then the school may request an assessment as well. You must approve and sign the assessment plan before testing can start. Then is the evaluation stage, where assessments are given to find out if your child's eligible for special education. And then comes the decision-making step. If your child's found eligible, an IEP is then created for your child's needs. If they're not eligible, you can refer to an SST, COST, or a 504 plan for support. Remember, the school district has 15 days to respond to your written request for an assessment. The school does the assessment unless you withdraw or your request for assessment in writing. It's helpful to create a file of documents related to your concerns. Whether your child receives special education or not, document your child's progress in school. Keep track of assessments and any communication with staff. Keep up-to-date records of each step of the process and your participation. It's important to keep copies of all communication, including letters and emails, notices, SST notes, IEPs, any phone conversations noted with names, times, and dates. Any oral agreements should ideally be followed up in writing. Your written statements of your understanding of all agreements also should be included. You can send all letters by registered mail, but if you hand deliver them, ask the staff to initial and date for proof of receipt.